Hello and welcome. I am Diana Diamond, and you are now watching the third episode of The Reading Rain Hose. Once again, I am Diana Diamond. I am your host, and today we are going to be talking about a very, very special volume of our series. We have been reading Heartstopper, right? Last week we read volume 1. Today we hit volume 2, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. All right? So, our first book leaves off with a kiss. And we briefly mentioned it last week, said kiss. And this takes place, or this picks up right where that left off, right? Oh, excuse me. So Nick ends up leaving after him and Charlie kiss. That kind of left Charlie with a little confused, and maybe a little hurt, even maybe a little hurt. And I that's completely normal. You know, to initiate a kiss, whether it's a first, second, third. Oh, for the first, since we're speaking on firsts, it's it's a lot. It can be nerve wracking, especially when you feel that it's not met well, or it won't be met well, or the feelings are not reciprocated, right? And that's something that we see here with Charlie. Charlie, we start to pick up, can get a little nervous at times, which, given his history, I don't blame him at all. He's the year before, he had to deal with bullying, and so I can imagine doing something as, I guess, as brave as kissing someone that you're not entirely sure are really into you, if that makes sense. Like, Charlie Charlie had an idea that Nick was into him, but he didn't nothing was confirmed, right? And so Nick himself was also a little confused. You know, I can think of a time when I was younger, not at this age, but at a young enough age to to know that to know that feeling of uncertainty, of, like, oh shit, was this the right thing to do? Should I have done this? Should I have not have done this? And that's one of those things that, it's very hit or miss. I for one like, I do enjoy a first kiss. Like, I don't know, something about them. They're just like, it's exciting. It's like opening a door for what for what you could be, right? For, like, what your potential relationship could be, as opposed to what it's not. And so, yeah, that first kiss, I'll tell you. I was out on a first date, and this one guy, very sweet, I won't say his name, but we went out for dinner, great conversation, great everything. Everything was wonderful. And we go out to the bar, and I'm just like, okay, At some point, one of us had to bring it up, and we did. It was just like one of those. So I am in the mood. I feel like kissing you right now, and and it was exactly that. So, that was an initiated first kiss. And in my youth, 20s, in my 20s, I, initiating a kiss was actually a lot easier. My sister, hey sis, told me this story because I I was there, but I was barely there. It was Pride. It was like a Pride where I wasn't even out yet. I was just like, oh yeah, gay bars, they're fun. I like their music, and I was bi, and the the following day, my sister's like, bitch, you made out with like five different guys, and like you just like walked up to them like nothing. Looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Like, who even does that anymore? And I'm sure people do, but I don't. Not anymore. But I just like in a time where that level of intimacy was, I guess, more accepted. I feel like COVID kind of like stirred some things up with that. Just being more health conscious, more conscious of what you're putting in your mouth or in you. Yeah. and and I feel like people were less likely to kiss like randomly or just openly or freely or yeah. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sound off in the comments. Do let me know. Are you still into kissing strangers? Like since COVID, are we just a little more focused on not doing that? Let me know. I'd like to hear what you have to say on that topic because a first kiss is something we all do. It's something we've all been through. And so, I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Could be fun. So, the kiss was initiated. Nick runs away because he hurt his friends. Let's make that very clear. It was not because of Charlie. Nick ran because he heard his friends calling him and he freaked out. That was it. Now, Nick was also thinking and journaling about the experience. And Mama, she was into it. He was so into it. And see, that's the thing. Like at that age, like, girl, just be gay. Just be gay. Or whatever you are. And so Nick doesn't understand these feelings, which rightfully so. He did spend a lot of his time like under the impression that he liked girls. And then he meets this one boy that suddenly has him head over heels, and now he doesn't know what he is. He's asking himself, is he gay? Is he bi? Well, actually, he didn't get to that. He didn't know what bi was, which, like, mama, it's 2020. Well, at that time it was 2020. Like, and with the level of information out in this world, like, you should have been known what that was. But I digress. Nick once again keeps searching and realizes that he might be a little something. He just doesn't know what. And therein lies the confusion. Like he spends a lot of this volume 2, confused, right? And so that gets me thinking about like how how many of us tend to have those feelings of confusion? I know I did. Like around the time where or when rather when I was starting to become a little older and people were starting to realize, oh, they're not really dating girls or they haven't mentioned a girlfriend. And so that was a time for me where I knew deep down that I'm gay, that I was gay, but it wasn't one of those things where I wanted to accept. Growing up here in New York, it can kind of hinder that. Just knowing that there are people out there against you. And it's not very common in New York, but of course it does happen. Like any type of negative experiences. And and then of course there's the aspect of thinking about family and how they would react and stuff like that. And so I remember a lot of, and I've mentioned this in the last week, where I I did look up what gay is, and I did look it up in the dictionary because I needed to know. But then on top of that, knowing what AIDS was and looking that up was tough. Because imagine being a child in the 90s, by the way, and just fully afraid of AIDS, not knowing exactly how it's passed. And with the limited information, especially with the information that was given to the public, it was basically known as a gay disease, which the dictionary was a little irresponsible in that too, in saying that. And I feel like part of me kind of detracted from accepting that within myself, right? Because like aside from fearing like bashing, now I had to fear AIDS HIV/AIDS. And so I'm like, well, damn. Like, guess I just shouldn't be gay. And like a child, like a child. And then like we kind of had an idea that we liked boys. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I didn't entirely hide that all that well, but maybe I did. Just for the self preservation of it all. But those feelings of confusion are completely normal. And if you are confused about your own sexuality, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking the time to figure that out, because I would say that it's basically like ever growing, ever evolving. Like I know people that like these days I feel like people aren't as rigid with their sexuality, right? So, I'm seeing more people, saying that they're just open to whoever they love, which look at that. Look, I love that only because you're not when you say you love who you love, like you're not specifically putting yourself in a box. You're just exploring your options. And I there are many, depending on how you connect with a given person. Now, some people can be a little rigid when it comes to that, and not want to look beyond, or not go with the feelings that they already had. So, for instance, a gay man, I don't know, a gay man being into a trans woman, that it's not completely unheard of, and it should be encouraged, I think. Why limit yourself to such things? Especially if you deeply connect with the person, why not? Fuck it. Literally. But and that's that's something that I personally would like to see more of. Just more diversity when it comes to the people we choose. I don't like yeah. I mean, just love who you love. It honestly doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like, you have people that are just so focused on that. I'm like, girl, it's not that serious. Like, relax. And so, moving on. So, Nick and Charlie, they discuss their kiss, and Charlie, being so overly apologetic, feels like it was his fault, but Nick immediately clears it up and says, "No, no, like, I did want this, This isn't, you didn't force anything on me. You have nothing to apologize for." And, but with all of that, through all the confusion, kind of going into my last point, is that Charlie, Charlie really cares. No, Nick really cares for Charlie. And we can see that in their interactions. But also, the fact that Nick chose not to kind of like cut things off, or just be that shitty person of like, "Oh yeah, we kissed, so we're done now." You know, like, Nick was pretty good about that. Now, they do choose to date, however, discreetly, especially within school, because Charlie is more afraid of the bullying, and he was worried that it will carry on to Nick. Now, okay, y'all, I have something to say about DL, down low. I have made it a point to put on my dating profiles, "We will not do that DL shit." I'll tell you why. I personally have worked way too hard on myself to put myself back in the closet, especially for another person that's not me. Like, if I were to go back in the closet, it would have to be because I said so. Like, something for me. I am not hopping in no closet for nobody. Okay? Like, let's make that very clear. Because, no. Like, those of you that have worked very hard on yourselves to be out and proud and not give a fuck about what anybody says, good for you. Keep it up. And if they don't want you, well, they don't deserve you. Because it truly takes a lot to reach that point where you are fully comfortable with yourself, to the point where you're able to be yourself freely out in the streets. And I think that's what is missing. A lot of the time, people are so focused on how they should be instead of just being how they want to be. And honestly, you'll be a lot happier. Like, yeah, like, maybe your family will, like, not talk to you, or any other negative situation you can think of. But just think of what it would do for you. Like what you would feel, how you would feel, just knowing that you stood up for yourself, you spoke up for yourself, and you're out and about as yourself. Like, I think that is so powerful. And like I myself had to witness that. It took time. It took time for me to get there because not everyone is able to process their fears, right? And so Nick Nick needed some time to sort that out. I really think he did. You know, yeah, it's just not easy. It's just not easy. Like, and especially at, let me see, what is he, 16, 17? What a time. Like, I cannot imagine being even close to outwardly gay at 16, 17. Like, I was still very much keeping myself in the closet. And, like, yeah, like, she just was not into that. And a lot of it was like, it was a fear driven response. You know, worried about how my families would react. You know, would I get kicked out of home? Which luckily no, because I do have a very supportive mother that honestly does not give a shit about that. Like, she does not, like, as long as I'm not out here murdering people, like, I think she's fine and does not care about who I'm loving. And parents, be more like that. Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And that was something that throughout this book specifically, volume 2, Nick is just trying to figure out. He's doing his own research. He's looking at their friend group because now he's part of the friend group, and it was great. It was great. So now I kind of want to step away from Nick and Charlie just for a bit because we're introduced to other couples, or rather other characters. So in the show, we are immediately introduced to Elle. In this, she's introduced to us in this volume, volume 2. Now, Elle is Charlie's friend. She is a new student at the girls' school, and she is a trans woman. And oh my gosh, and a brilliant artist. And a brilliant artist. And it's apparently known that her and Tao, Charlie's other friend, have a thing for each other. And I do love and appreciate Tao for that because they were originally friends, Tao and Elle, when before she came out as trans. And Tao Tao has they've been into each other. So I do appreciate the level of support, but also the open mindedness that, Tao doesn't see Elle as different. He sees Elle. He sees her for her, and he cares about her for her. And I think that is so beautiful, especially for teenagers, for high school students, especially, and who knows, it could be just a very American thing, but like, it's not cute here. Like, I've asked around in a few of my circles, and some of the straight ones too, like, if they would ever date, hook up, any of that with a trans person. And to my surprise, many of the reactions were not for it. To which I just replied, like, but why? Like, I get, like, maybe that's not your thing, but you also realize that they're still, like, people and they're still the gender that they say they are or that they feel. So, like, I just see no reason to discredit anyone because of, and I gather that it has to do with the genitalia. You know, people are just so focused on that. Like, they're just so focused on genitalia. And I'm like, that is wild. Like, that is, it's weird. It's weird to, like, kind of be so hyper focused on someone's genitals just to figure out if they're male or female. Like, no. Like, oh, you're male? Okay, cool. That's it. Like, just take their word for it. And so what? So what if they have a little extra or not? You know, it's could be fine. Try it. It's always fun to try new things. Speaking of, I'm gonna try this little beverage that was made for me over here by our bartender Hendra here at Boxer's Hell's Kitchen. I believe this is a strawberry margarita. Let's see. Ooh, she's cute. This is a frozen strawberry margarita here at Boxer's Hell's Kitchen. It is also 2 for 1 happy hour, not this. It is now 2 for 1 happy hour all night long every Tuesday. So come on by, say hi, order a drink from Hendra, and come say hi to me because we do love seeing you. Now, back to our book. So we're met with the other characters. Okay, I want to add this real quick because I I mentioned last week, love the show. For those of you that have watched the show but have not read the book, just be aware that Isaac does not exist in this book, in this series. I believe that Isaac was written in for the series, the television series, the Netflix series, because here we have another friend named Aled. Now, my thoughts are they're not giving much indication that they're anything like Isaac, so it's not, I don't think it's even an Isaac based character or that Isaac is based on Aled. But yeah, we've got a new friend. That's not Isaac. We love Isaac. Now in the show, Isaac is starts to come to terms with being asexual and possibly aromantic. But we're not seeing that in this just yet. Now, that's what I love about this series, like this series altogether, is that like we find an array of people in this friend group, like almost one of everything. Like you've got the lesbians, you've got the gays, you've got the bisexuals, you've got the allies, you've got the trans girls. Like we've got everything up in here in this little friend group. And you know what? I kind of appreciate that. Like they're a really good friend group, very close knit. And you know, we do love close knit groups that have each other's backs, you know, community. Now, Nick and Charlie. Let's get back to them. Their relationship evolves and they slap on the title of boyfriend. Yes, they are now boyfriends. They have decided to cut that situationship out and bring relationship in. Now, I would say Charlie was brave for that one. Charlie was brave for that because to start a relationship with someone that still doesn't fully know nor understand themselves, that can be hard. That can be really hard to navigate. But I think Charlie understands that Nick is worth it. And Nick has also given no indication that, you know, that any signs of leaving should he get bored or, any silly little reason. But they they get started, and now they're still keeping things on the hush hush. Like they haven't told any of their friends yet, but I think at some point some may figure it out. I mean, you're in an all boys school. Like like the best part was when like people were just looking at them like, are they dating? And like, oh, to be young and silly. To be young and silly. Cause like, can you imagine everyone, like I mean everyone, all of your friends, they know. They're just looking at you and just waiting for you to say something. And it's like, girl, are you gay? Like, just say it because we won't be mad. And that was kind of a little something of what we get, which I thought was kind of cute. It didn't happen directly, but like some friends were like really cool about it behind Nick and Charlie's back. It was so strange. But you know what? I also appreciate those friends because they were definitely the kind to like just sit and wait and not force him, not not get it out of him before he's ready, you know? And I think that's also very important to not to not force someone to come out, especially when they're not ready. And yeah, cuz I along with some other people I know have gone through experiences like that and not very cute. It's also very jarring. You're like, "Wait, what? I'm gay?" And then they're like, well, that's what I heard. And then they're like, you might as well just, you might as well just admit it. So I don't know about you, but this series as a whole, it kind of makes me feel ready for a little something, a little. I don't know. Like it makes me like if you're not in a relationship and you're watching this, I may have mentioned how incredibly lonely this series and this this series, both Netflix and novel. Oh gosh, like you'll read this, like you could be on the train reading this, and you're just like smiling ear to ear, but you're also like, oh, I want this. I want this like this incredibly cute and disgusting romance, and like to like just be like, oh, I'm in love. I don't know. Something about it seems a little alluring, but we'll see. Whenever whenever that day comes, we'll be ready, right? Mister? Mr. Whoever's out there. And so, we come to the conclusion of our lovely novel here, and it ends so beautifully. Nick comes out to his mom, whom is played by Olivia Colman on Netflix, on the Netflix series. So good. Oh, like the scenes with her and with her and Nick together. Oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful. It's like Nick is like super worried about coming out to his mom, which I think we've all been there. We've all had that fear of coming out to a parent, right? And for me, it was I actually only came out to my dad actually, because remember my mom, someone outed me to my mom's side. But like with when it came to my dad, like I fully like just told, like I basically told him like, yeah, no, there'll be no daughter-in-law, no this, no that. And the reaction was kind of funny because like he was just like, "Oh, so what are you gonna have? A boyfriend?" I'm like, "Yeah, maybe, maybe I will have a boyfriend and a husband." And so I feel like a parent won't fully know how to take that, especially when they're not expecting it. In that moment, my dad needed some time. We had to hang up and and kind of reconvene and yeah, and just circle back and just understand that it's not that big a deal. It really isn't. And for parents that do make it a big deal, all right, I was originally going to say shame on you, which actually no. Fuck that. I mean that. Shame on you for trying to shame your children and for not accepting your children should you not. And honestly, I've reached a point in my life where I just don't think people should have to come out anymore. Like, and that's something very beautiful that they mention in these books is that you shouldn't have to come out. You shouldn't have to say anything to anyone because guess what? You don't owe anyone anything. Like I'm sorry, you're not paying my bills, and even if you were, like just be happy for me. I'm still a person. And I know that some parents they get a little too focused on just my experience, a little focused on the lack of grandchildren because that's usually the first question. It's like, wait, so does that mean you're not going to have kids, or am I not going to be a grandparent? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Honestly, it is okay if you're not parents. It is okay if you do not become a grandparent. Like, yes, it is something that you may have wanted and may have foreseen for yourself, but also keep in mind that your children's choices are theirs to make. So, to shame your child for making that choice, whether it's for or against, don't say anything. Just let that shit rock. Because I was once told that I was being selfish for announcing that I don't want kids. And that's like, why? Why do we feel the need to bring that up, or to bring that up? Because again, what I do is my business. And just because I'm the only hope of having grandchildren, you're going to have to accept that. Should have had more kids, playa. And that's for all parents, not just mine. I know my mom's not too focused on that. I think she gets it, but you know, the other side was we were met with some uh, a little craziness, and so you know, I think we should address that with all parents, that your children not procreating is okay. You do not need grandchildren, but also we do not need more people in this world. I'm going to forever say that we have a population issue, and now I personally will not feed into increasing the world's population. So there's that. And yeah, I just yeah, I just don't think I just don't think people should have to come out as anything. Don't have to come out as not having kids, not have to come out as gay, trans, or any of that. Just introduce your person, and you know, and that's that. Like, families love to make a big deal out of that. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know you were gay." It's like, well, you kind of don't have to. This is my person. Is that it? Are we good? Okay. We leave it at that. And so, anyway, so Nick comes out to his mom. He comes out as bisexual because he does still understand that he likes girls, but he also really likes Charlie. Now, my question for the future of this show is he only limited to liking Charlie, or is it he just likes guys as well? Right? Because he never like we never really get into that. Like, if his attraction to other men, right? It's just we know that he likes girls, but then we know that he likes Charlie. So now I'm curious. I'm a little curious. Like, how far does this go? Or is this one of those, oh, or maybe he's pansexual. He just loves who he loves, and that's that. I, you know what? I'm gonna call that for him, even though nothing's been said. But I don't know. I'm kind of sensing that for Nick. But we should definitely keep reading, and we'll see. We'll see where this goes. We'll see where this new relationship goes, and if they're able to actually say it openly. Will they tell their friends? Will they tell their parents? We know that Nick's mom knows, but that's about it. Because no, Charlie has been very, very considerate to not tell people about Nick, because that is ultimately for Nick to disclose. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for volume 3. If you've if you watched the show, you know exactly where things are going. And if you have, shh, let's keep that between us, because who knows, maybe some of our viewers haven't seen the Netflix series and have only the books to go by. So we will just have to see. Well, anyway, that is it for me. I am your host, Diana Diamond. Today we have been reading Heartstopper Volume 2. Do follow me on Instagram at Diana Diamond NYC. And do make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And also leave a comment. If you heard something that you liked today, leave a comment. I want to hear what you had to say. Because I know that I'm just rambling over here as I should, but I want to hear your ramblings. I want to hear I want to hear your thoughts on this subject. I want to hear your thoughts on the book. I want to hear your thoughts on gay teenagers falling in love with each other and just doing it proudly. Okay? Well, come back next week. We're here at Boxers HK every Tuesday at 5. Every Tuesday at 5 in the downstairs basement, in the downstairs bar. Come join me. I would love a live audience. And I'm going to leave you with that, okay? Bye-bye.